2 cans of tuna or like even like a 6-ounce steak, I feel fat now. That's how much I've changed my eating habits, and that's how much like weight I've lost, and how much I just really
I'm
can't stand
proud
to
of
eat
you. You
anymore.
you took this journey. I don't
I
think
did. It
you should be
it took me
measuring
a
it
while.
on a fucking watch. Like, all right, so my opinion on this has changed. I thought it was very important to have a watch that tracks your steps for you. But I
Yeah.
don't like I was listening to a podcast. I'll have to send you a Joe Rogan one. I think his name's Mark. uh Mark something, but he's owner of this one company that does like fit meals at home.
Mhm.
He does a full primal diet, like nothing, just all meat, no vegetables, none of that. Ripped for a 75-year-old man, has a six pack. I mean, just shredded down to the bone. But he goes, what's really weird is when it stops you from living. And like that's a very important thing that I was given advice to when I was working out twice a day. I mean, just recently in like the 9 years I've been working out, have started to like get food out to eat. I think my birthday was
Mhm.
the first day I had Chinese in like 9 years, just because it didn't
Wow.
fit my calorie content. And it's like, you don't want to limit yourself on the fun parts of life. Have a beer every now and again, have a cake if you want, but don't, know when too far is too far.
Absolutely, and that's been an important part of this entire journey that I finally decided to go down. It's like I have my days where I still drink my beer. I haven't given that up, and I have my days where I eat Chinese food, or like we have a celebration or something like that. I'll have cake or anything. I don't stop eating the foods that I shouldn't be. I just watch what I eat when I do eat them, and just trying to keep control and trying to keep accountability there. And yeah, I'm working there. I've almost hit my first weight loss goal. I'm 5 pounds away.
Do What do you feel like energy wise?
Well, I'm just tired, but that's just because of my life. But no, I mean, like, I sleep better. I actually make it through the day without wanting to feel overly tired or like need to take a nap or anything like that. So, and yeah, I see some positive things that have come from this, definitely. I actually want to go out, and like when the kids say, let's go for a walk, instead of me grumbling like, "Ah," I go for a walk, and then I make them walk. They're the ones grumbling by the end of it, you know?
You kind of start to notice that what you put in your body as fuel, for instance, starts to make you feel a little bit different when you go out into the world and start exploring it a little bit. It's funny
Yeah.
because I was listening to, I think we talked about this when, if I gave you the example of 12 glazed donuts, sounds amazing. But then after you eat 12 glazed donuts, you feel like shit. And then you just feel bad
Mhm.
about yourself and you internalize that onto other people. So, I mean, I'm not at fault of like doing these types of diet trends if you're going to start feeling better and start acting better. But here's the issue. The industry has lied to everyone for so fucking long, and somehow the word Adkins still triggers some people. Like people
Yeah.
go, Adkins, wasn't that a diet? And didn't the guy die? Like, yeah, the guy slipped on ice and broke his head open. So it's like, yeah, you start, maybe he was off balance because of the weight he lost. I have no fucking clue. I'm just saying, is that when you feel good about yourself, you internalize that and you bring out a little bit good with the others around you. But when you hate yourself internally, maybe not even knowing it, maybe subconsciously, you start to force it out and get angry at people that are around you, even people that have nothing to do with how your day is going.
Yeah, no, and it definitely has that impact on your mood and everything like that. I feel better every single day that I wake up and I put on my clothes. Like the shirt that I'm wearing, for instance, I haven't worn this shirt in so long because for the longest time I looked like the Stay Puffed Marshmallow Man wearing this shirt. I was just it was stretched out on me. It made me feel bulky and everything like that. And now it's actually kind of loose on me, which makes me feel good. Or anytime I put on my uniform to go to work, I'm in smaller shorts now. I'm in a smaller shirt. I'm on my third belt since I've worked for this company, a smaller belt. I'm already 2 notches into that, and I've only got 3 more to go before I'll need another belt. So, these are things that make me feel good. I opened up a box of clothes the other day. Some of them are dated and I can't wear them now, but I mean, like, I tried them on and like these are clothes I wore when I was 21, 22 years old,
Wait, what clothes
and
are
I'm
dated?
34 now. It's not an in thing to wear clothes that have like American Eagle on it or Abercrombie and Fitch or
What the
anything like that.
fuck does that
Apparently
mean?
that's not in anymore.
I didn't know it was in the first place. When I saw people wear those, I just thought they were poor.
Well, I was poor, but that's beside the point.
That's all my friend wore. Like, I was like, "Where'd you get this?" Like, my mom got it at Old Navy, and I was like, "Okay." I wore fucking hand-me-down shirts from like my brother or from something like my dad had an AC/DC shirt I used to wear all the time in high school. And then you get your own money and you start buying your own clothes and you realize the difference.
Well,
Nothing
band
beats
t-shirts are
that.
still cool.
Well, yeah, I guess, but not when they're like hand-me-downs from someone else and they end up becoming faded and the only shirt you wear every single day when you go to school. That's not cool. Then you're known as that one kid that wears the same fucking shirt every day. It's like when you wear a tie-dye shirt in school and you keep wearing it 24/7, like never ever change your shirt, never pick a different tie-dye. You're known as the tie-dye shirt kid, and no one wants to sit lunch with that kid. Actually,
Yeah.
now if you befriend him, you're doing great for society. You're a justice warrior.
Yes. Yes. You're doing it for your own selfish reasons. You're not actually trying to make him feel better. You're doing it because it makes you feel better.
So I secretly trapped you into this podcast. It's to bring tie-dye shirts back, and I need help.
I'll wear the fuck out of some tie-dye shirts. I don't care.
Is like, should life be more complicated than that? I mean, making tie-dye shirts and getting paid for it, I look at that at the same level if you own a pot shop. You're selling fucking pot. The worst
Yeah.
thing you probably have is maybe you might experience a robbery, but at the same time, you're just dealing with like stone people. Like, what's a good weed if I want like to like mellow out, man? It's like, dude, any more mellow, your heart might stop because it's probably beating at 23 beats a minute.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all I got. That's my
That's all
rant.
you got.
I packed the
Good
wallop.
talk. Good talk. Um no man, so yeah, I mean I'll wear the fuck out of some tie-dye shirts. I don't care. I'll still even wear these clothes that have American Eagle or Abercrombie and Fitch on. I don't care. I mean clothes are clothes. I'm not out there to look trendy. I'm just out there so, because society says I can't go out naked. So
Well, back when you were like a kid, you used to impress people in school because you wanted to look cool around everyone that you went to school with. And then when you become an adult, who the fuck are you impressing? The people that you get pissed off at in the store or something like that? Like,
yeah,
I don't know what it is recently. I'm telling you, life is like a fucking movie. I'm seeing actions of people that you would see in a film, like shit that doesn't make any sense. Like, how's your day, Jim? Well, it's going good, Bob. And I'm like, what happened to your voice? Why do you sound like you're broadcasting over a frequency level right now? And what the like, it's just everything everybody does now. I'm like, we're living in a movie. And I think it's because you've been locked down for so long. All you've been watching is old Adam Sandler flicks where you walk into a store and a dude's acting like Waterboy. I'm like, you're not even, what are you doing?
people have definitely forgotten how to communicate, and I feel like everybody's putting on a face right now. They don't want to admit that over the last year or so, coronavirus has got them down, or other things have gotten them down. It's all an act. You want to put on the appearance that you still have your shit together, so it's going to be a little bit over the top and stuff like that. I've kind of noticed the same thing too, where people are just acting differently than I feel like they would do in a normal situation. Um, so nah, that's a perfect analogy right there. Is that we're literally living in a movie. Like this is the plot of either a really terrific movie or a really bad movie. I haven't decided yet.
See, this is all the stuff you can talk about on my podcast that you can't talk about on Chuck Goes to the Movies. It's kind of got to be around the flick, but this one you can just be like, fuck it all. Like the Jack Snyder cut.
The Jack Snyder
Dog
cut,
shit.
exact.
Dog shit. Complete dog shit. I was so pissed listening to your episode. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, how do they have these thoughts on this movie? It was, in my opinion, it's like if you took the original, added a couple scenes, but you do like, when a person takes their Instagram photo and they just had a filter to it, that was fucking
Yeah.
Snyder cut to me. There was nothing bigger.
But it's kind of like what I said. Even though I enjoyed this cut of the movie versus the theatrical cut of the movie, it's still garbage. It is still, but it's more of a cohesive garbage. What's the old saying? If you take a turd and you cover it in gold, what do you have? A gold-plated turd.
It's
Well,
funny.
guess what? It's still a turd.
Everybody that was arguing with me was like, it's way better than the original. I'm like, you're comparing it to a piece of shit. That's like saying my
Yeah.
piece of shit's better because it's bigger. It's like, yeah, the movie was bigger. Okay. But it's like, it's not, in my opinion, it wasn't a great flick. I just thought they added a couple, like the CGI technology was good to it, but I don't know. I guess apparently my movie opinion doesn't fucking matter because every movie I
Well,
love, people hate.
apparently, well, I mean, you're not alone on this thought of the new Justice League movie not being very well received. I'm honestly surprised how many people like this movie, and I think they like it just for the sake of liking it because I mean, if you are honestly going to compare it to the original version, it is 10 times, 100 times better than the original version. But you've got to admit that it still misses all the marks. It it's not 100% Zack Snyder's fault, as we all know. Warner Brothers has a lot to play into that as well. But Warner Brothers can't make a comic book movie to save their lives. They have proven this over and over and over again. And the only times they've been able to get out of that little funk, that comic book funk they're in, are, the Dark Knight trilogy. Christian Bale and Christopher Nolan, and that Batman trilogy was probably one of the most iconic trilogies ever created in cinematic history. They did fine with that. You can even argue that the standalone films like Joker was a phenomenal movie with Joaquin Phoenix.
I think they
But
did it
those
in a
are
better
those are
way.
stand they do it in a better way. They're not tied to this idea that we are building something. They've tried so hard to become Marvel. You can't become Marvel. Marvel's become so big that it's eventually going to collapse on itself, and it's not going to be pretty when it does. Kevin Feige is only one man, and eventually he's going to get too big for what it is. And it's like Star Wars. Star Wars started collapsing on itself, and they're still trying to build it. It's collapsing on itself, but they're still trying to build it, and I don't get it.
You know who I've always been a fan of that they literally wiped off the face of the earth?
Hmm.
Jamie Kennedy.
Jamie Kennedy is good. I
People did
can't.
not like his movie, Son of the Mask. I thought it was a great movie. And then you talk about what happened to him. He literally, everyone, like they were trying, you're trying to step up to Jim Carrey's shoes. And he knew that stepping up to the original Mask, he can't do that. He can't fill those shoes. So what he wanted to do, and he said, I watched a documentary with him. He goes, I had to make
Mhm.
this my own. And when he did that, people that hated it, all the blame got pushed onto him. They said that it was his baby,
Yeah.
his project, and no one else was involved with it. Eventually, that man just got so fed up with Hollywood, like he was doing children's parties, like those Rent-A-Clown things you would do. He would wear Bart Simpson's head with
Yeah.
like the shoes and shit, and he would just fucking do that. And nobody even knew that that guy used to own a really popular TV show. He lost all amount of fame because society had deemed that they hated his movie so much that he correlates with that movie means they hate him.
It was you, I believe, who turned me on to the one podcast that he was a guest on where he was talking about his
Honeydew.
life and his life, his rise and fall from fame and stuff like that. It is a shame because Jamie Kennedy is actually a very talented comedian. Malibu's Most Wanted is still one of those like guilty pleasure comedies that I like to watch because it's just so funny and dumb all at the same time. But he has proven himself as an actor, among the Scream series and things like that. I can think of a bunch of stuff that he's been in that I like him in, but it is such a shame that that's Hollywood, though, or that's art in general. You could have a lot of greats, but people will always remember you for that one that was the miss.
Yeah,
And
like that one lady we
eh,
remembered for Wonder Woman 84 instead of Wonder Woman.
oh, Patty Jenkins,
I don't know
the
her name.
director,
Whoever
the
the
director,
actor is, the main Wonder Woman
Gal
chick,
Gadot.
I guess.
Well, she's going to be known for a lot more than just Wonder Woman. She was in the fantastic, Fast and Furious, not fantastic, Fast and Furious franchise. She's done a bunch of stuff.
That franchise is going down quick.
They should have stopped at 7. They should have stopped when Paul Walker died.
Yes.
Actually, they should have stopped long before that, but they should have definitely stopped when Paul Walker died. 8. Did you watch 8? Did 8?
Which
After
was 8?
watching that, I'm like, that was the one after Paul Walker, and that was the one with Charlize Theron.
I saw Hobbs and Shaw. I don't know if I probably saw
I
Fast
didn't see
8.
that
My
one.
buddy drags me to every single one of those things when it comes out.
Yeah, no, it's just it went to prove that this is a franchise that doesn't need to be going anymore. And now they're doing 9, and they're bringing back a dead character, the one that they killed off already. The timeline is so screwed up on this franchise. It's one of those that's gotten too big. It's collapsing on itself, but they're just going to keep doing it because it makes money.
How come
And there's
Sharknado
Hollywood
has
for you right
just
there.
proved to beat all odds? Sharknado's on like 64, and everyone's like, "What the fuck?"
Because there's a niche for cheesy movies.
Do you,
And you've also got actors in it that give you that nostalgia feeling. You got Ian Ziering and Tara Reid in it, so you've got your 90210 star, and then you have Tara Reid, who everybody used to be madly in love with, and they're making a movie about sharks in a tornado. I mean, what more could you want?
are you gonna pay $8.99 to go see Tara Reid? That's it.
Um, I would not pay to watch Tara Reid in anything, so I'll wait for Sharknado to come on Sci-Fi.
That's still a channel.
Yeah, Sifi, it's still there.
I really enjoyed this podcast I was listening to with a astrophysicist. I think it was an astrophysicist or physicist, and he was talking about another dimensions. Like he says that they're going to like maybe 100 years from now be able to tap into like what would be another dimension. There used to be a particle accelerator that was extended out like I think 2.5 miles, and people shut it down in the fear that it was going to create because we were going to be able to create like dark matter, like be able to create some serious scientific shit. But people thought it would create a black hole, so everyone fought against it and shut it down. Well, now they're researching in a different way, being able to maybe go into another dimension or be able to create a dimension. And I'm like fucking listening to this guy talk about this, and I'm like, imagine. And it brings up to the many worlds theory that there right now, as me and you are talking, there's another planet going on where it's the 1920s, and we're talking through like an old speakerphone or old time walkie-talkie. Do I believe that necessarily to be true? I don't know, but I would love to see a movie like that, kind of like a Rick and Morty portal gun scenario, but having a little watch that can send you into different dimensions, like see yourself in there, but it's you in the 20s or something like that.
Uh, I am a believer in the multiverse theory. I really believe that somewhere out there in another dimension, in another universe, however you want to describe it, there is another you, another me. We may be friends, we may be not, who knows? But there's several different versions of us out there living our lives in one way, shape, or form. And I think it's a huge possibility that we could do that. Let's talk about this particle accelerator though, real quick. Has anybody seen The Flash? Has anybody read The Flash? We all know that the particle accelerator is not a good idea. It creates
What?
a paradox.
Yeah, but you get superpowers.
Yeah, meh.
Don't you want
I don't know, man.
superpowers? What are you
I don't want to be
stroking
the
your cat?
Flash.
This is going to be very weird for the
No,
video.
no, sorry.
You're just in the fucking corner rubbing something.
It's my leg. It's the time of year where the gnats are out like crazy, and when I'm out on the boat, my legs get pretty much eaten alive. So I have to put something on them so they heal. So that's what I'm rubbing on there. Sorry.
I thought you were gonna be like, oh, it's my knee. Whenever the weather tricks up, my knee starts making a weird
Mm.
pain. You ever? Can you imagine
No, no,
that?
no, no.
There's superpowers where people feel the weather in their bones.
Uh, for a few years after I broke my wrist, I could definitely tell weather changes. It doesn't really do much for me now.
I can predict the weather when it comes to if I look at the ocean. If I look at the ocean, I could tell if it's like really calming. They say calming before the storm. There's a certain pattern when you start seeing the ocean freak out, like have this like crash, 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 and then there's just this lull for like 10 minutes where there's nothing. It's usually about to start raining pretty hard. Or it's about to start storming. That's just from living in a beach town doing jet skis all the time. I was just able to
Hmm.
predict like, oh, this is going to be a shitty ride because we used to go out in like northeasterns. We used to go out in tropical storms. As long as it's not lightning, you can go out in it. So we went out in hurricanes. I went out during Hurricane Sandy. It was fucking nuts.
We just had a cold front come through here. So much for a cold front, 70 something degrees outside. But it just came through here, but out on the water. The winds were coming out of the north. So when the tide's coming in and you got the wind going against it, man, that was creating some rough seas. I haven't seen so many people get sick like that in such a long time. It was actually kind of funny.
Did you laugh at them?
Well, not to their face. I'm hidden behind a mask, so I don't know if they can tell I'm smiling. I don't know.
That's the best part, is that you have the mask up so nobody can tell your emotions. Like, are you laughing at me? No. And then really
No.
on the inside, you're just freaking smirking away.
I did. I did laugh at this woman in her face once, though. And it kind of just happened. Not when she got sick, though. Kind of going along with this whole coronavirus thing. So we have this rule: you can't ride the boat without a mask. We ask you to wear it for 20 minutes, and then once you get back to the island or the mainland, you can do whatever the hell you want with that mask. But as long as you're on the boat, you have to wear it. She tried to get on the boat without a mask, and she's like, "Oh, it's okay. I'm vaccinated." And I laughed in her face. Like, it was one of those like, "Ha! Oh, wait, shit. Did I just do that?" And I'm like, "Ma'am, it doesn't work that way. I'm vaccinated too, but I still have to wear the mask. You still have to wear the mask." She's like, "Well, what was the point of getting the vaccination?" I was like, "Well, the point of getting the vaccination is
The big question,
eventually
ain't it?
that is the big question. And if you want to get into a philosophical discussion on the point of the vaccination, I'll be happy to sit down with you during the 20 minutes of this ride." But I was like, the whole point is that when you get the vaccination, you're still supposed to wear the mask because other people haven't been vaccinated. So unless you can guarantee that the other 99 passengers on board this boat are all vaccinated, you need to wear yours. And she's like, "Well, that's bullshit." It's like, take it up with the president,
It sounds
not
really
me. Wear the
ridiculous the way
mask.
you explained it. It sounded pretty
It
fucking
it does.
ridiculous.
No, and I get that. The way I say it, it really makes the idea of wearing the mask seem very ridiculous. But I'm not a scientist or anything like that. I am paid to tell people they have to wear their mask, and
Yeah, you're
that's what I
doing your
do.
job. I
I'm doing
see.
my job.
I get the weirdest phone calls at the gym. This just happened a couple of days ago. I answered the phone and a guy goes, "Hello?" And I said, "Hello." He's like, "Are you open?" And
No.
I was like,
We're just
"Yeah."
answering the phone for the hell of it.
Well, I at 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm just brutally honest. So I was just like, "Yeah, we're open. That's why I'm talking to you on the phone." And then he goes, "Oh, okay." He goes, "My name's Jim. What's your name?" And I'm like, "We have customers coming in, like buying things." So I'm like on the phone trying to work with them too. I'm like, "My name's Robbie. How can I help you, man?" And he just goes, "Well, hey Robbie, how are you doing today?" And I'm like, "I'm all right, man. What can I help you with?" And he just goes, "I'm looking for a gym facility, one I can work out in." And I'm like, "Okay. Yeah, I mean, if you want to come in, we can talk about memberships. This is a great place, great community." And I was explaining, I'm still trying to be professional with it. Like, great community. He goes, "I'm looking for a place that's going to get me motivated to get up. I'm about what?" And he starts telling me his height, his weight, starts telling me what he wants to get his goal wise, telling me he's a gamer. I'm like, "Look, man, our facility has everything you need to put on mass, everything that you're looking for. It's a great community. People kind of just do their workouts and they leave." He goes, "Well, I'm looking for someone to help me work out." And I'm like, "We have trainers." "No, no, no. I mean, people in the gym." I'm like, "Nobody in the gym is going to fucking, hey, Jim, how's it going? Let's fucking work out and get you big like Arnold." Nobody's going to do that. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I mean, we have trainers, but you have to make your own connections. That's on you in this gym. When you're coming in here, if you want to meet some friends and make a gym buddy, then go ahead. But the very positive people here, but everybody's on their routines. Tells me, "Okay, yeah, so I'll probably come in there, but I had a few questions when it comes to like, what do you what he just asked me about my like gym thing, my routine, but it keeps asking me about the fucking community in the gym." I'm like, "Man, if you want to come in here and see it for yourself, I'll be able to give you a tour and walk you around and everything, but that's about it." And he just goes,
Yeah.
"Okay, okay. I'll probably come in there later today. Thanks again, Rob." And I'm like, "Yep, thanks. And happy to help, man. Happy to help." Hang up the phone. I was like, that's the weirdest fucking conversation I've ever had. Calls, I get a phone rings. I'm like, okay, answer the phone. "Hi, name of my business or name of the business. How can I help you?" And they go, "Hey, I'm looking for Rob." And I'm like, "Yeah, this is Rob." And then he just goes, "Hey man, it's Jim. Remember we talked last?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, I remember you, man. How's it going?" And he just goes, "Yeah, I wanted to ask, what's the gym community like today?" And I'm like, sometimes I'm just like, I want to fucking take the phone and just throw it through like, I don't, do people not have their brains on, or people on drugs? And it's weird because the number for my gym is also the same number as a lawyer. So I'll get a call and someone will be like, I need you to look this person up. I'm like, we're a gym facility. I can't give out anybody's personal information. He goes, he stole my kid. And I'm like, oh my God. And then it's like, you get so like into it where you don't even want to tell them. You just go, tell me more. And then they just fucking keep going. So I'm getting a fucking story out of it. And I'm like, oh my God, it sounds awful. It's like, can you help me? I have about $8,000. I see that you say 6, but I'll pay you 8 if you can help me take this guy to court and get my son back. And I'm like, man, I hate to tell you, but you got the wrong number, but I'm fighting for you. I'm hoping for you. I'm
Yeah.
cheering for you. I'm like, get him, get his money, get everything. Johnny Depp his ass.
Oh shit.
But it's interesting, man. I love the fucking. Sometimes you get a phone call with somebody. Somebody calls you, says, "Hey, man, what's up? We haven't talked in a while," or text you, and you're just like, "Who the fuck is this?" And then
Yeah.
I just roll with it. I don't even say, "Got a new phone? Who's this?" I say, "Yeah, man, sounds good." It's like next thing you know, I have a golf fucking appointment at like 3:00. I'm like, "Oh, sorry, mom, I
He's
can't
gonna
do
be
that. I gotta go
surprised.
golfing."
That guy's gonna be surprised when you show up. I had a situation like that, very similar. I've been getting all these phone calls lately. It's gotten to the point where I've had to install an app on my phone to prevent these phone calls from actually happening. But they were trying to get a hold of me about a refinance for my house. And interestingly enough, I am currently refinancing my house. But I finally picked up the phone one day, and they're just like, "Hi, we're looking for Maria." And this is after months of me telling them, "I'm not Maria. Please remove my name from your system. I don't know how you got it," and stuff like that. So I'm like, they've got to be stupid. Yeah, yes, this is Maria. And we start talking about a refinance for a property down in Florida, and he's giving me information he should not be giving me. Like, it finally got to the point, like, dude, I need you to listen to my voice real quick. Do I sound like fucking Maria?
It could be.
And he's like, well, we try not to judge. And I'm just like, let me clue you in here. I am not Maria. Thank you for sharing all this information with me. And if you ever do get a hold of Maria, you need to tell her to go with option 3. But please stop fucking calling me. And then they still keep calling. They still keep calling. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to mess with them at this point. I'll pick up the phone. Papa John's Pizza. I say Papa John's just for you, by the way. Papa John's
That's
Pizza.
funny.
Or
I
I'll
was
be
gonna
like,
bring it up. I
Kirk's.
was gonna bring it up.
Yeah, I'm just like, so I'll answer and they're just like, what? It's like, do you want a pizza or not? I'm busy, dude. And then they'll hang up. Or there's one time I answered, it was like, Kirk's House of Sodomy. I got a special on double-ended dildos. Seriously, I'm just gonna fuck with them. Until they stop calling. But I got tired of fucking with them too. So I just, again, installed the app on my phone, and now I don't have to deal with them.
You should have said, "My name is Chuck Norris," and they would have been like, "Go fuck yourself." I can't believe that. It's more believable that you're Maria, not Chuck Norris.
I was like, do I sound like Maria to you? I mean, I get it. This is 2021 and I can be whoever the hell I want to be. Maria could be whoever the hell they want to be, but I am not Maria.
So
Not trying to stick to some sort of gender normality here, but do I sound like Maria?
You
No.
sound like a Carol.
Thank you. I was going for Karen, but I'll go for Carol.
No, Karen's your wife's name.
That is very true.
I see. I called it. I wanted to actually talk about Papa John too, because he was in the news, and I'm like, do I predict the future? I feel like I've said a lot of shit that's coincidentally came true. And it's funny because that guy has me blocked, and now I feel bad seeing the video and did you see his documentary of everything?
I didn't. I saw the video that you sent, but I didn't watch like the whole document. I didn't realize there was like a whole documentary on it though.
So the company
you sent a video clip of it.
So the company he hired that was supposed to handle everything for him, like make sure that he didn't like come off, like he could actually retake his company and be able to get the facts and everything. After that giant thing he did with the NFL protesting, that was the whole fight was about NFL protesting. This time they were all like kneeling during the pledge and all this type of stuff. Or during the national anthem. So he used a very derogative term, a word that you do not say, but he wasn't saying it himself. He was saying that, how am I getting looked at because I'm so mad at these protests when they have a character like Colonel Sanders that uses this derogative word in all of his in some of his commercials and in some of his history, which isn't true, but he was just giving an example because when you think of the South, you think of that.
Mhm.
And they when he said the phone call recording when I was listening to it, they go, "Well, we'll deal with it. We'll talk to you soon, John." And he goes, "Okay." Hangs up the phone, and then they still have the phone recording for not on his side. He's gone, but it's the recording of the conference. And he goes, "We're gonna fucking put this guy away." The laundry service that he hired to help him out pushed him out of his own company by making him. And then it was like you watch all this and you're like, yeah, there's some things he probably shouldn't have said. He shouldn't have said the word. He should have said something else. But at the same time, they fucking cut him out. And I'm like, damn, I feel bad that I got a shirt with his head or his face. He's got me blocked because of that. And I'm like, I want to talk to him now. I want to be like, dude, I don't think you're
So now you're pro Papa John.
I'm not pro Papa John. I think he's an alcoholic. There's something wrong with that guy. When I look at his face, I see like there's an issue there. He's fighting something like some inner demons, but I do not think he's a cult leader and I do not think he's a bad guy. But I look at him and I go, he's got something in the basement, much like Mr. Rogers.
I don't know about Mr. Rogers, man.
Just
I
wait.
don't think he got
I
it.
predicted Army Hammer. I predicted fucking Coke calling people
That Army
racist.
Hammer thing, like, threw me for a loop. Like, where the hell did all that come from? The guy's a freak.
Everybody's got kinks. Why is cannibalism looked down upon?
Well, cannibalism is illegal.
We could be in another dimension where cannibalism is a thing.
Cannibalism is the thing in this dimension. You don't talk about it,
Well, what happens if cannibalism's the
or you don't
norm? And
do
then
it.
why? Okay, here we go. Here's a points for the vegan. Well, what about eating animals? Why does it's just the same as eating people? I don't believe it, but it's fucking an
I
argument they
don't. I'm not
probably
saying
have.
no.
I want to argue about the flat earth. What do you think?
I think flat earthers are the dumbest people on the round planet. Uh, it truly baffles me that they believe that we are just this flat disk floating through space when you can clearly just get in a plane, hop in a plane, and travel around the world, circumnavigate the Earth, and you're going to realize we're not a flat disk.
Yeah,
You're not
but
going to hit the edge of the world. They also believe Australia's made up, which doesn't make sense to me either. Like Australia, I've watched a few documentaries on the Flat Earth Society, and I just can't help it. I call them stupid, but I feel sorry for them all at the same time. Why do these people believe this?
because
Why?
they're
There's
looking
no
for
evidence
something.
to prove that it's true. It's zero evidence. Like at the end of this one documentary, they were setting up this light experiment. You set up these light poles you start one right here and then you go like a mile away, you set a target, you go another mile, you hit a target. The whole idea is that if you shine a light from this pole and you try to hit the very last pole, that light should hit every pole in sequence at the same exact spot at the same exact height. Well, when they did that experiment, guess what happened? It didn't work that way. It hit at different levels of the pole because of the curvature of your Earth. The
That's
Earth.
funny because their argument is that if you watch a ship in the distance and it comes out of your line of view, it's predicted that goes over the curve. But then they can pull out binoculars and then they can still see the ship. There's just feuds that are never going to end, like the Bloods and the Crips. I don't think they're ever going to be shaking hands anytime soon. I literally spent like, I think a day just watching nothing but debate videos where it was they get a bunch of people that were flat earthers and a bunch of people that were scientists to be able to talk about it, agree, disagree, all these types of things. The only one that I found super interesting besides like the meat eater and the vegan one was about the death penalty, where it was like some people agreed upon it that people can't change, and then some people disagreed on it. And I was like, I can see both sides. I like seeing both sides of things because I think it's important to really understand where a person's coming from based on, I think a lot of it happens to do with their experiences that they figured. I mean, the whole reason we have a death penalty, for instance, is just because the easiest way to get rid of something that you don't might not want to put the time into fix is by getting rid of it. You know, it's not easy to be able to try and fix somebody. And I think in some ways, everybody's fixable, even people that say that person's unfixable. Charles Manson, I believe, could be fixed with maybe psychedelics. I mean, he was drugging a lot of his victims, but nobody talks about that. It was a factor of the government was getting him out of jail. They were giving him the drugs to kill people. That's fucking nuts to me. Take a deep breath with that answer. I read a fucking book, 20
Yeah,
years of
I was like,
investigative
whew.
evidence on a Charles Manson thing, where they found out that the government was giving him drugs to be able to do these experiments. So they weren't in any way being, I guess, caught in the act of drugging people for experiments. They decided to get a scapegoat, which was Charles Manson, a person that they could blame.
I would have to read that book and I guess come to my own conclusions on that. So I can't speak to that. I can speak on the death penalty. I am a believer in the death penalty. I not that we need to put everybody to death for crying out loud. That there are people who are. Um, I truly believe certain people can be rehabilitated, but then there are certain people that don't deserve that rehabilitation. They don't even deserve. They didn't give any thought or conscience to life, and that's what put them there. So why should it's going to make me sound evil here.
No, it's
Why
not.
should we put any thought or conscience to their lives? I'm a firm. I hate that idea of an eye for an eye, but it's kind of like that's how I feel when it comes to the death penalty. Like if you kill somebody a certain way, I feel like that should be your punishment.
Well,
That's how you should die.
the question changes when I toss in this scenario. When a man or a person kills another person just for robbing their car or breaking into their house and killing them, it's kind of looked at like, oh my God, that person needs to go to jail, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, when a father found out his son was being molested by a coach at his school and the coach is getting off with no charges, and the dad walks into a middle of an airport and shoots the guy point blank with a gun in the head, you look at that as a justice kill. That is a
Hmm.
kill because this person did a horrible act and he was getting away with it, literally laughing. And this guy walked into an airport, shot a dude in the head. Cops tackled him to the ground. And as they tackled him to the ground, they picked him up. And you could see one of the cops whisper in his ear, like, good fucking job. Because it pissed everybody off that this guy was going to get away scot fucking free. So our eyes of what is a measure of a life really depends and varies. And that's where I can understand the vegans where they say, why should you be able to kill a mountain lion? Like if you're in the middle of a woods to defend yourself, well, you're in his territory. And it's like when you kind of talk it out and you listen without trying to come in with like, you're an idiot. It really hits this level of like, oh, I fucking get it. And don't get me wrong. There are some things that I see where I'm like, that person, I don't know how to deal with that. Lock them away for the rest of life. But what's that better than just giving someone death? Like, I don't know. It's very, very questionable. So I think we're trying our best as people, but it's just there's a core issue that everybody's focused on, but I think you need to look at the stuff that leads up to the core issue. Excuse me, I had to burp.
Absolutely, and it's just kind of go along with what you're saying here. It reminds me of a movie. Haha. Have you ever seen the movie A Time to Kill?
Nope.
All right, it's got Matthew McConaughey in it, Sandra Bullock,
All right,
Samuel
all
L.
right, all
Jackson.
right.
All right, it's a great cast, great movie. It's Don Grisham novel turned movie. It is about a father played by Samuel L. Jackson, whose daughter was. It's a black guy, obviously Samuel L. Jackson. His black daughter, living in the South, was picked up by a couple of white guys, raped, brutally beaten, left for dead, and they found her. She lives. She lives, thank God. But because they're in the South in a predominantly white area, they basically got away with it, right? So what does he do? He, as the father, takes it into his own hands and he kills them. He kills those boys. and now he's up for murder. And Matthew McConaughey are the lawyers trying to defend him. And I don't want to give away the story for anybody who hasn't seen it yet or anything like that. But to kind of go along with what you were saying there,
Wait,
a
when did the movie
father.
come out?
Oh, this is the 90s, dude.
Oh, then fuck the
This is
people.
like
Tell me.
young Sandra Bullock,
Oh
young Sandra Bullock,
God,
young
that's why I
Matthew
haven't seen it.
McConaughey.
Just tell me the story.
Yeah.
Jesus, I'm not watching anything
Uh,
with Sandra.
they get him off. He ends up the jury finds him free.
They get him off.
Like not guilty. You know, they know what he did, but they know why he did it. He did it in defense of his daughter, so he got to go home at the end of the day to his family and things like that. But it makes me think of that. You know, so is there a crime that you can justify committing in the name of justice? Like the instance that you brought up where the father killed the coach for doing what he did to his son. As much as the legal answer would tell us no, there's no justification for doing what you can do. I personally could not speak for myself if something happened to one of my children. If I ever discovered something happened to one of my children, I could sit there and say that, oh no, I would let the law do what they need to do. But I also know that I love my kids more than most anything in this damn world. And if anything happened to them, somebody's going to fucking pay. So I can't speak for that. I just know that there are consequences for my actions no matter what I do. So if I go out and I beat this living shit out of the person who hurt my child or even killed them, I've got to suffer the consequences of my actions for that. And quite honestly, me being me, I probably would sit there and say that's worth rotting in jail for. Or hell, probably worth being put to death for. Because I did what I thought was right because the system failed my child.
And that's a very key important thing that you just said. I did what I thought was right.
Hmm.
What society deems is right. I think a lot of people can agree on the same terms that killing is bad and simple things like that. But what if a person doesn't understand what's right and wrong? And this is where we find out the level of insanity of a person. Charles Manson, insane. What was the factor that led him to that? I've heard many stories, and I've recently been getting interested in studies of schizophrenics, for instance. What makes a brain tick or have this distorted view of the world? Because I think in not even maybe 10, 15 years time, the world's going to be full of schizophrenics. It's very,
Hmm.
very hard to find out the truth with so much information out there that you don't know what is true. When you read an article, next thing you know, you find out it was faked or it was this or it was that. There was a video of Biden walking into the White House and he didn't salute the troops. And everyone was talking about, did you hear the video of his earpiece? And then you get to hear the video, see the video, and you just hear somebody go, hey, salute the troops. And then he just goes, salute the troops. He says it. He doesn't do it. And it's like, is that real? Is that fake? Is that, I don't know. You start looking at things like what's real, what's not. And this is when it causes people to start losing their fucking minds because you don't fucking know. I mean, this thing, what the coronavirus started with being a bat, it was a bat research facility. Said they got it from a bat. They were doing some type of chemical thing in Wuhan and it led to a bat. I've talked to some people that do research studies with bats, and they're like, no, it's not from that. They have different viruses, sure, but that's not where it came from. This thing has already now been proven that it's been it's been modified. It's been genetically modified to be like a weapon, which isn't out of the realm of possibilities. Hitler was freaking putting bubonic plague into missiles. Like there's nobody even talks about any of these types of things. We've always practiced chemical warfare. I just think they did something they couldn't control and it got out and affected more than what they were aiming for as a target. That's a liable or that's a laudable conspiracy theory, whatever you want to believe. And we don't know. And this is when the world starts to get fucking crazy. It's because the difference between right and wrong, someone else's thoughts, it's in that eyes of that person, it might be seen that way. It's easy for a flat earther to say the earth is flat because everything they've seen has been proven it to. Everything we've seen on news has been lied to us. Half the time we see a bunch of shit. We're like, that's not exactly the true story. Or we see a bunch of misinformation. Circular pictures of the globe. That's where they say it could be flat earth. I mean, it looked they could have faked it. NASA could have faked it. And NASA has been known to CGI pictures of the moon and add clouds and shit because it didn't look good, the original picture they took. That's came out multiple times. But you can also fight the other side too.
You're talking about CGI clouds versus creating an entire conspiracy theory that the world is flat versus
Well,
round.
they're
I
they're tr-
mean,
they're trained to
I'm all for CGIing some clouds for crying out loud. I don't
well,
care. If
that's
you
that's the
think it
thing.
makes your picture look better, that's fine.
That's the thing.
We put filters on our stuff all the time.
When you block somebody off of a social ban somebody off of a social media website, does it just stop at the one person? Or when you see anything that even whatever pissed you off enough to ban that one person, you start banning other people that are doing the same exact thing that don't agree or piss you off? It's the thing is if you CGI clouds onto an earth, how far are they willing to go to really distort your view? And that's where people look at like, I'm now losing trust in you. I'm now losing trust in you. People, same thing with the government. People didn't, if you research anything back in the past, everything they're doing now is not much different than what they did back in the day, just in a new form. And people are like, oh my God, acting like it's brand new information. I know fucking my grandparents and my parents, I'll tell them something and they'll be like, that's not true, man. Where'd you get that? Washington Post, New York Times, what, CNN? And I'm like, these are actual things that are happening around us. And I keep pointing and pointing and pointing. And then when they see it on the news, I don't have time to worry about it. I'm like, because you didn't have the sources of these little fucking cell phones in your pocket to be able to fucking Google or be able to see all this information that's being exposed. Snowden, for a lot of people, is a fucking myth. There are people out there that say that's a fake person that doesn't exist. And I say, are you fucking nuts? It's
No,
very,
he's
very
real.
hard because you can understand their perspective and then understand mine. And this is like where it gets into batshit schizophrenic territory. The eyes of what's right and wrong. Sometimes you talk to a person, and I remember I was watching the Barstool court case. I've been watching the George Floyd one. I watched the George Floyd
Hmm.
one, watched the Barstool one, where Michael Rappaport was suing the guy owner of Barstool, Michael Porteous, or no, John Porteous, whatever his name is, Portnoy, whatever his name, um,
Yeah.
for making a shirt with his face on it, and he has herpes on his face, saying that it's defamation of character or something like that. And then I was watching this documentary of a guy that he robbed a liquor store and killed some people, and he tattooed the fucking thing that he did on his chest. So the guy was just like, we have evidence that you did the crime. And he's like, what's your evidence? And then the guy goes, take your shirt off, takes his shirt off. And he's got the fucking him robbing the liquor store on his chest and then a fucking helicopter on his shoulder with a dog's mouth for some reason. I don't know what that fucking means. But it's the exact same court uh, thing. So he got convicted. But then I watched an appointment or a court case of a guy who killed his own mom. And they were like, why'd you kill your mom? And he's like, why'd you do it? And he goes, I didn't. He goes, what do you mean you didn't? We caught you with everything. He goes, I didn't do it. And he just showed no remorse. And they plead him as insane. It turns out he didn't kill his mom. His mom killed himself or killed herself. And then he found her. It's this whole idea of like what's right, what's wrong, what's truth, what's not, what's eyes of it. It's so fucking, it goes down these rabbit holes, but it turns into a fucking game. And that's my issue. When it turns into a game, there's a winner and there's a loser. Instead of trying to find the truth and get down to the bottom of things and hopefully get change, we never get change. We get a fucking winner and we get a fucking loser. That's my rant for the day.
For the day. Um, that is the beauty yet the danger of technology. Back in the day, our grandparents, their parents, so on and so forth. The news sources were scarce. You as time has progressed and news has been able to travel faster and more outlets and things like that. So yeah, nowadays we have several areas to get our news from, whether it's going to be a news organization, Google, social media, things like that. And all I have to say is this, and it's something I tell everybody: like, if you read something and you think it's true, before you share it, why don't you do a little research into it? Don't share it because you think it's true or you believe it's true. Why don't you actually go and do a little bit more? Because there might be more to the story than you're getting just from this little blurb going on. And that's the danger of all these different ways of getting information is who can you trust and what can you trust. If you're going through a bunch of different outlets and stuff like that and you're starting to see some consistent key points of the same story, I would say those are probably the key points that you need to be taking away from the story. But if one news outlet is saying one thing and one news outlet is saying another thing and they're conflicting, you need to think about why are they conflicting, especially when it comes to politics. Guess what? One news organization is liberal, one news organization is conservative. So they may be reporting on the same story, but they're going to have two different sides
It
of that
goes
story. And it's what you want, it's which one you want to go with, what aligns with your views. So guess what? The conservative Republicans are going to align with Fox News, and the liberals are going to align with CNN because that's how those news outlets report.
Chuck, I tried my hardest. I really did. I typed in on the Google, even
On the Google.
DuckDuckGoed it, even DuckDuckGoed it. I said,
Did you ask Jeeves?
ah, God, I didn't do that one. I should do that one. Do we even have, is
Nice.
that even a
Anyway, sorry.
site anymore? It's like MySpace. It's
I don't
gone.
even think that's a thing anymore.
I typed in, I said, Mr. Rogers is evil, truth. I typed it in multiple different phrases. I watched a 15-minute video on the truth of the evil of Mr. Rogers. That's the title of the YouTube video. I clicked on it. I said, fine. You don't understand how hyped I was. I was like, fine a fucking Lee. Someone did their due diligence as a citizen and found this fucking evilness of this man. And a woman comes on screen, says, when I was young, I was suffering from a brain tumor, and I wrote to Mr. Rogers, and she was a child at the time, saying, "I watch your show all the time. You bring me so many laughs. Thank you." And Mr. Rogers had came in, saw her, and beat her with a brick. No, I'm just kidding. No, no, he read her prayers. They did prayer together and they did all these things. And I was like, God, I have this fucking feeling that you're hiding some type of sexual thing. Like you like the cross dress. I don't know, something. That's not even bad, but I just know you're hiding something. And I don't like, even if it's anything hidden, I want to find it.
Well, I
Um,
mean, so why do you have this feeling that people like everybody hides something? Not everybody has anything to hide.
I am known, or I've been,
What are you hiding?
I'm not. I'm pretty open about a lot of my shit. You can ask me anything. I'll fucking tell you. I don't care. I don't have anything hidden. But there's just something. I get these weird feelings about things, and I'm usually right. And I had said this in a previous podcast, episode 703. People can look up. I had said people say things without meaning anything. Person tried to tell me no, they don't. I pulled up a bunch of tweets about Pepsi being racist, and I said, I bet you find later somewhere in the next month or so, you'll find someone saying Coke's fucking racist. Then Coke put up an article about how to be less white. I talked about Army Hammer. Then Army Hammer gets canceled. Dude was telling me cancel culture doesn't exist. I predicted Bill Cosby. I predicted Kevin Spacey. I predicted Chris D'Elia. I predicted a lot of shit that's came true. And I'm not even saying I'm a prophet. I'm not saying any of that shit.
Okay, Nostradamus.
I've just gotten this weird fucking feeling about people. And I mean, I can match energies. You know, I know where to take a conversation if I need to take a conversation somewhere. It's just about being empathic or something. But there's something about Papa John's being maybe an alcoholic, maybe having some type of Coke addiction. I don't know. I don't want to say anything too bad because hopefully going to get him on the show. I've reached out to him multiple times. Um, but Mr. Rogers is hiding something. I don't think it's necessarily bad, but it's just something that a lot of people wouldn't expect from that. And I think it's because it was so hard watching that documentary and being like, I fucking can't believe I watched 15 minutes of them tell me every good deed he did. And I'm like, it just, I think you always need to raise a question because if you're 100% this perfect idolized figure and you idolize someone that much in your mind, like a lot of people do with Mr. Rogers, you get really upset when something comes out about him. And that's when I'm like, you should never have that much faith into something being 100% pure because there's always that something that's being hidden. And that's what I want people to understand with this whole train of thought is I want you to understand is yes, government does some shady shit. Don't be surprised when it comes out. When you start thinking the sky is always blue and then you understand when it's sunrise and sunset, it turns an orange or a red, you get a little freaked the fuck out because everything you've seen in the day has been blue.
Is that your second rant of the day?
I probably have a couple more in me.
um, I mean, I agree with you. Nobody's 100% perfect. I mean, you say your life's an open book, I'm sure, but I mean, come on, there's got to be something that you keep to yourself that you don't want to share with anybody, and that's fine. I'm not saying that's a bad thing too. We all have the quote unquote skeleton in the closet, but it doesn't. Again, it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. Just because Mr. Rogers came off as this kind of like wholesome, pure person who was just out there to do good in the world, I mean, it doesn't mean he's perfect in any way, shape, or form. I mean, not to get religious here or anything like that, but according to religious people, there is only one perfect person that has ever existed.
Mel Gibson.
And I don't think religious people agree with you on that one.
He's done some great movies. He's a good actor.
He's a good director too.
Yeah. Why do people hate Mel Gibson?
He'll make his comeback. He's already starting to. He'll pull a Robert Downey Jr. out of his hat. He'll make a comeback. But as far as that whole skeletons in the closet thing, I think there are more important people to obsess over than Mr. Rogers. Well,
Who?
all his skeletons are probably good. There are people out there with bad skeletons in their closet that I'd probably be more like, stop trusting this person, or
Who?
stop idolizing this person. I don't know, Biden. We all know there's skeletons in that man's closet. But I don't know, man. Whoever you want. I just think Mr. Rogers is a very odd one to kind of
I'm not
harp on.
You said Biden. I was like, I'm not talking shit on a corpse.
Well, I don't know. Everybody wants to hate on anybody in politics anymore. So
Let's talk about Benjamin Franklin.
Like
I think he has some things in his closet that was probably that's why he never went. That's why he never wanted to be president, because he had a bunch of bodies buried in his basement. Like legit, they found skeletons in his basement. So you can't. That's probably why he didn't want to be president. Because anybody that wants to be in power and is hiding something, they don't be in power. They don't do that. They don't go up and do the power thing. That's because they know there's a possibility of it coming out. Anybody that's truly hiding some really stark, sadistic shit. And that's different because you can bring up Bohemian Grove and stuff, but a lot of that is like the most heinous act in society's eyes is to do anything with kids. But I don't understand why now the church is now being looked at. It's because religion's old, but the Vatican is. It's been this. Whenever I say the word Vatican, you think of that. That's the first thing that comes in your head, not the Pope Mobile. What the fuck?
Oh, the first thing that comes in my head is like Pope Benedict, because I think that's a funny name.
I think that fucking lamp that they swing around, I'm like, you could crack somebody across the head with that thing.
If you speak ill against the church, I'm sure they will crack you in the head with that thing.
I don't have any money for your donation hat.
The church, we're not here to talk about my personal issues with the church, or anything like that. But I mean,
let's talk about a dream.
That's the thing about human beings. No, that's. I don't want to talk about my dreams.
I had a dream. I had a dream about Jesus.
Okay, what did Jesus do?
Well, me and him were like, okay. So here, I've described this before, but I'll describe it to you. So I was in a car and I was not driving. So Jesus did take the wheel. He was driving, but I slept 20 minutes, but it felt like 8 years. But for most of this dream, I was looking out of a window, just watching like the scenery. And I kept asking like, what is life? And he was like, life is whatever you want it to be. Life is something that you choose, whatever road you walk. And I was like, that's a deep fucking question. Then I just look over after like all these questions that I asked. I look over and I'm like, oh my God, you're Jesus. And he just looks at me. He goes, are you hungry? And I said, I could eat. And we fucking pull over to a Taco Bell. I swear to you, I can't make this up. I walk into a Taco Bell. Jesus sits down. I order my food. I spent actually a lot of the portion of it, fucking putting a quarter in the little thing and then spinning it to get it to land on the free taco one. There's a little thing that they have on the counter. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. I'm glad it's in all Taco Bells, not just mine. But then I also feel like I'm not exclusive. I feel everybody had the same fucking pleasures I did. I ordered my food, sat down, and I was like, what are you eating? And he was like, mine will come. And I said, you didn't order anything. And he goes, things come to those who wait. And I'm like, I started psychoanalyzing this. Like, this is something I've heard in my childhood or something like that. That's not being reverberated into my dream. He gets I get my taco 12 pack, hard shell, soft shell, just common shit. I never eat it all. I just like the variety. If I want more hard shell or soft, I got to have the ratio. You know what I mean? He gets a bean burrito and he unwraps it, bites into it. And I'm like, what is that? And he goes, it's a bean burrito. And I'm like, no protein, no meat. And he goes, everything I have is everything that I need. And I'm like, okay, deep, hitting me fucking deep, definitely qualifying for Jesus. And then he bites into it again, and I look and I see avocado, and I don't know why. I go, is that avocado? He goes, yeah. I'm like, you're a psychopath. He goes, oh Lord. And I'm like, are you calling your dad? And then dream's over. That was it. It was just this weird fucking thing. And I'm like, it makes me, that's why I was wondering about like a dream you had or something. Cause I have these weird fucking intense like dreams where I'm like, this could be like movie 43 with Hugh Jackman, where just a bunch of skits.
I honestly don't remember most of my dreams.
That sucks. So you got to write them down.
I know. I've been told to keep a dream journal, especially when I was in the Navy, because I used to have dreams about being in the Navy all the time while I was in, and people are like, you need to analyze your dreams. Maybe they'll answer a lot of your questions. So I really don't care that much. But no, I don't remember a lot of my dreams, unfortunately. I can't offer up any insight into
Nothing better than eating a burrito or eating some tacos with Jesus out of Taco Bell.
I'm about to say, your Jesus reminds me a lot of what I eat when I go to a Taco Bell. So
he looked like the stereotypical Jesus, though.
So Jared Leto?
Is Jared Leto Jesus?
No, not Jared Leto. Ewan McGregor. Ewan McGregor is Obi-Wan.
He does look like Jesus a little bit.
Have you ever seen that meme where it's like, I have a picture of Obi-Wan sitting in there and my mother is worshiping him because she thinks it's Jesus? God. I wish I remembered my dreams. I really do.
Got to write that shit down.
Or if I do remember them, they're just really fucked up dreams and I don't want to talk about them.
What's like a really fucked up one?
There was one recently where involving my current job now, where I ran us aground, like onto the rocks,
and killed everybody.
No, I didn't kill anybody or anything like that, but it was kind of like it's one of my fears. One of my fears manifesting itself as a dream. You know, running aground, like it's one of the worst things you could do. Obviously, as you know, a captain of a boat is hitting something, and I had that. It happens right at the spot where I actually freak out about I'm going to hit the rocks every time I pass it. So that, I mean, that's not a fucked up dream, I guess, but it's just, yeah.
I thought you were
that's
what
I dream about.
I set a preschool on fire or something. Not fucking. I ran people aground.
No. See, I'm boring when it comes to dreams.
Well, Chuck, you're not boring when it comes to your podcast.
Oh, well, thank you, sir. Yeah, the podcast is just, it's been having a good run this year, but now I'm running into some issues. So
what's the issue?
I got to work through. Well, I've had 2 people cancel on me recently.
I said, send me an invite.
I know. We're going to talk about that in a moment. But
let's talk B movie.
There's been, let's talk what?
B movie.
You don't like Jerry Seinfeld.
I know. I fucking hate that movie.
I was like, wait a minute. You don't like Jerry Seinfeld.
He looks like my gastroenterologist.
Oh my God, that picture was hilarious. What did I say? It was like if Jerry Seinfeld and Kramer had a baby.
He looks exactly like Seinfeld. My GI looks exactly like Seinfeld. I'm like, it figures the person that's supposed to help me in my time of need is the person I hate the fucking most.
Yeah. Does he sound like him?
No.
What's the deal with your intestinal tract?
Why can't you shit? I'm like, I don't fucking know. You tell me.
No, but the podcast is going well. It just the story, the hiccups of trying to keep guests and stuff like that. I've had two of these guests planned for a few months now, and then all of a sudden, like, oh shit, life. I get it, life. But then you're kind of running around like a chicken with your head cut off, trying to rearrange everything. And then last week, between Easter and a really hectic, an unprecedented hectic work schedule, I almost didn't get my episode released on time. So, but these are the joys of running a podcast, right?
Yeah, joys.
Joys.
Try
We do need to
posting
get you
every
back
day.
on. It's actually you're gonna like this. So I was working on recovering my hard drive the other day, the one that crashed on me last year.
Is Don't Mess with the Zohan on there?
I think it is.
Hercules?
I don't know about Hercules yet.
Damn it.
I'm still working on it. I'm slowly recovering things, but I did manage. Hold on, I'm trying to pull it up right now.
I wish you would have posted the Zohan one after we did it, because everything Joe
I
Rogan's
know.
talking about now is the Zohan. He's mentioned it like in his past 5 episodes. I'm like, yo, are you listening to my fucking show? Stop stealing my shit, Rogan.
Rogan. All right, somebody posed a very interesting question the other day at work. I want to see how you feel about this real quick, but yeah,
Condoms and porn, yes.
condoms and porn are always important. I found Zohan. I haven't fully recovered it yet. So if I can fully recover it, I will let you know. And
You
then
just do it again.
we could just do it again. But I want to see if I can fully recover it. And I know Hercules is in there somewhere. So I got to keep digging. I only get a few moments here and there to play around in this hard drive, but I did find Zohan. So I did wanted to tell you. I did want to tell you that. I would like to get back and get those released, because those were some good episodes, and I'm really pissed off at my hard drive right now. But
We need to make a number 1, but we need to pick a really good film to talk about.
a really good film to talk about. I just watched a really funny film yesterday called Let's Go to Prison. Have you ever seen that movie?
No.
Oh,
Wait,
you
is
should
that with
watch
Will
it.
Ferrell?
No,
Huh.
it's with Will Arnett and Dax Shepard. It's really funny. You need to watch it. Anyway, so the question posed at work the other day involved Joe Rogan. Is Joe Rogan is so big in the podcasting world right now. He's basically the king of podcasting. Is Joe Rogan so big that he is unstoppable now?
He definitely can't be canceled.
That's it. Can he be canceled?
No,
Is
people
he
have tried already.
yeah. Because if you get rid of him here, he's just going to pop up there. If you get rid of him there, he's going to pop up somewhere else. Joe Rogan is an unstoppable force.
See, my issue is that they're not really trying to stop him, but they don't care. Spotify has deleted around 42 of his episodes.
But why are they deleting the episodes again?
Because if you have a person such as Gavin McInnes or Steven Crowder or whoever that goes against society's standards of what is deemed as acceptable, such as, I don't know if you know who Gavin McInnes is. He is actually the creator of the Proud Boys. It's gone a little bit over the edge where it's like, all right, now I don't really want to work with this guy anymore. He says a lot of shit that actually is happening now, back in like, I think episode 1000 of Joe Rogan's, or episode 700, like way back like 4 or 5 years ago. That's actually happening now. He kind of predicted it. Crowder too. A lot of the stuff is like very, very political. And when you start looking at the very, very political, like points that nowadays wouldn't fly, like you talk about not wearing American Eagle anymore, not wearing certain, whatever they would call it, saying certain things about certain things, that's not going to fly today, such as blackface and Tropic Thunder is never going to fly again.
Okay, yeah. As very politically incorrect as that was, you gotta admit it was funny. I mean,
It's like, don't mess with the Zohan. I'd rather do that again, because nobody even talks about how Dave Matthews was a racist redneck. Like,
yeah.
what the fuck? The whole point is they were stereotypes. You're meant to laugh at them because they were so absurd. That's the point. That's how you know you were fucking woke. Was that
Yeah.
it were so insane. People are like, no, it's making fun of.
And they made that a plot line in Tropic Thunder too anyway. They were talking about why is it taking a white boy to or a white guy to play a black man, so that was a major part of the narrative. They weren't just doing it for the sake of doing it. They were doing it to talk about a narrative too, and it's still people responded poorly to it. That is actually one of Robert Downey Jr.'s best performances of his entire career. I mean, he got nominated for an Oscar for it. It was fantastic. Uh, and it's okay to laugh at that stuff. I truly believe it's okay to laugh at that and be okay with that because it wasn't done out of poor taste. It was done for a purpose, to tell a story, a narrative that is very relevant in today's time. It's kind of like when my wife and I went and saw Django Unchained in the theater. She was so uncomfortable in that movie. We were sitting like a couple seats away from a black couple, and I was laughing through the whole damn movie, and so were they, but she wasn't. And at the end of the movie, she's like, there were parts of the movie that were funny, but I felt so uncomfortable about laughing. I was like, why? She's like, well, because, I don't want people to think I'm racist. It's like, it's not racist to laugh at that. It's not racist at all.
Yeah, what do you
It's
call it?
comedy.
I saw
Hold on. Hold on one moment. I'm sorry. I got to take this. Hey, find that stuff funny. There's a difference between comedy and literally being racist. To do it with a malicious intent or to do it for
well, you're gonna be called racist from this episode. You know that, right? Because you said black people. And see, here's the thing, the difference between my show and your show. I since I talk to so many people, and it's not good or bad. It's just I talk to so many people that I have now this wide variety of people that it reaches, like
Mhm.
different people, not a bigger audience, but a different people from different social groups, friends, or someone that I talk to of a person. And there'll be people that are like up, and then they'll be brainwashed that that's being racist. And I know you and you're not. So it's just this idea of like, I know a lot of my friends, they like to be called black. They don't like to be called person of color. I know people that like it the other way. It's all fucking variety changes and stuff, but you don't have hatred in your heart. When you watch Don't Mess with Zohan, when you watch Tropic Thunder, there's no hatred in that. It's just meant to be funny. People made
Yeah.
fun of Asians for the longest fucking time. And then now there's this Asian, stop Asian hate. I'm like, they've been the one that been ridiculed the most out of everyone. If anything is a clear idea of racism, that has always been against the Asian community because there always been jokes because they do so extremely fucking well. Here's my issue with it is when Harvard made it harder for them to get into schools because they were having a large Asian population. They raised the grade point average for only Asian students. That's a fucking issue. That's something you need to fix, not the fact that someone cracked a joke that I don't think they don't mean. You can call me a cracker all fucking day. I don't give a shit. Actually, if you look at statistics based on Steven Crowder's thing, is that white people are actually ridiculed the most. And what the fuck? We don't. I don't feel the need to do so because I don't have hatred in my heart. I don't have this idea that if I say something, crack a joke or something like that, it is meant with a malicious intent. It's not. Nobody announces that they're evil.
Mhm.
Nobody does. It comes out. Nobody goes, I'm a jackal of the universe. I'm the four horsemen of the apocalypse. Nobody fucking does that. They do it without you knowing. They do it behind your fucking back. They stab you. Nobody's out like comedians. Whether it makes you laugh or whether it makes you mad, it comes from the same place. They're not trying to upset you. They're just pointing out something. You're the one that's taking it whichever way you take it.
Yeah, and that's just it. Art is subjective. It's going to be in the eye of the beholder. You might find it funny, you might not find it funny, and that's the job of comedy. That's true comedy right there. Is pushing the envelope, pushing our boundaries and our understandings of something to find the deep rooted humor in these tough and difficult subjects that we deal with on a day to day basis. I mean, there is comedy out there that goes too far. There are certain things that, in my opinion, are not funny, but you might find that funny, or somebody else might find that funny, and that's fine. I'm not going to fault anybody for that. No, I'm not a racist. I know that's like the motto of every racist person in the world. First off, let me say I'm not racist. I'm not. I find humor in movies like Tropic Thunder, Zohan, stuff like that, where others may not. And I don't find the humor to be malicious in any way, shape, or form. It's part of a narrative. It's telling a story. Did anybody say that the musical Hamilton was racist by only casting people of color, except for the main roles, except for King George was the only white person in a main role? Did anybody say that was racist? No.
No,
It was part of a narrative, bending the story. To me, it was absolutely hilarious that a black guy was pretending to be Thomas Jefferson talking about condoning slavery. It's a narrative, guys. It's meant to make you feel slightly uncomfortable, but it's calling out the humor of the situation.
it's also Warner Brothers, for instance, when Coming to America first came out, the company, the studios said you need to include a white person in the film, and Eddie Murphy had to insert a white guy in there, the guy at the fast food place.
And to me, that's unnecessary.
You
We
can't.
got we got to stop. Sorry, I hate going down this rabbit hole. We got to stop putting such emphasis on you have to do this, you have to do that when it comes to race or diversity or anything like that. If you, we got to stop putting such an important thing on our skin colors.
You
It
got to
doesn't
stop looking at the differences and look
and
at the things we
embrace.
have similarities.
We're all human, and guess what? We all live on the same planet, and we all are going through the same bullshit. Well, for the most part, the same
Dick and not
bullshit.
dick. Dick and not dick.
We need to stop making it a there needs there needs to stop being a divide. I hope in the multiverse out there in another dimension that there is a world where race is the racist ideologies don't exist. I really do. I hope there is
One day.
one day.
One day.
Uh, but
Chuck, where can people find your podcast?
You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter. Chuck Goes to the Movies. You can partially find me on Facebook, but fuck Facebook. They give me such a hard time. Mark Zuckerberg, I'm talking to you. But
He owns Twitter too,
yeah, but
and Instagram,
they don't give me such a hard time as Facebook does. They
because
still won't
Mark's
let me into
mostly
my
on
account.
Facebook.
But yeah, I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. You can find me on there. I am on all the major platforms. So Apple Music, Apple Podcast, Spotify, things like that. Go check me out. We're talking about a lot of great stuff. This season has been awesome. I'm particularly proud of our huge Lord of the Rings talk that we completed back in March. I'm still getting messages about that, which makes me still feel so awesome. So yeah, go give me a try.
I can go the distance.
You can.
That's from
And then
Hercules.
you and I need to get together and talk about getting you back on the show because it's been a while.
For sure.
Yeah.
Hercules.
I'll continue working on Zohan and Hercules to see if I can get them restored. If you want to re-record them, that's fine. If you want to do a different movie, I'm also game for that as well.
Mars Attacks.
Somebody's already claimed that, I believe.
Yeah,
I'll have
yeah,
to double
yeah,
check my list. I love that movie though.
Jack
It's such a funny
Nicholson's a
movie.
fucking powerhouse.
Talk about a movie where you got a bunch of famous people to come together and just have fun and make this really kind of stupid comedy. It's worth watching Mars
Hubie
Attacks every time you watch
Halloween. I loved Hubie Halloween.
it. Yeah.